Baltimore, Maryland, in 1969 was a place where faith was deeply interwoven into the lives of its people. It was here, in the heart of the city, that Sister Catherine Cesnik, a 26-year-old nun known affectionately as Sister Cathy, dedicated herself to teaching at Archbishop Keough High School. The students loved her for her kindness, openness, and willingness to listen when they needed guidance. But in November 1969, her life took a tragic and mysterious turn that would remain shrouded in secrecy and shadowed by horror for decades to come. On the evening of November 7, Sister Cathy had told her roommate, Sister Helen Russell Phillips, that she was going shopping. When she failed to return, a sense of dread set in. Days later, her car was found parked oddly, about a block away from her apartment. And nearly 2 months later, her body was discovered in a remote area, covered in mud and leaves. She had been brutally beaten, and her skull showed signs of blunt force trauma. Who would want to harm a kind and gentle nun? This question would haunt her family, friends, and community for decades. But as the story unraveled, a web of abuse, cover-ups, and secrets would emerge, revealing a world of corruption hidden beneath the sanctity of the Church. Years after Sister Cathy's death, disturbing revelations began to surface about Archbishop Keough High School. Former students came forward, alleging that Father Joseph Maskell, the high school's chaplain and guidance counselor, had been sexually abusing students for years. The survivors described horrifying details of how Father Maskell manipulated his position of power to prey on the vulnerable young girls entrusted to his care. One of those survivors, Jean Weiner, claimed that she had confided in Sister Cathy about the abuse, and that Sister Cathy had been horrified. Jean believed that Sister Cathy had been planning to confront the administration and possibly expose Father Maskell's crimes. Other survivors suggested that Sister Cathy had become aware of the extent of the abuse, and her decision to act on that knowledge may have sealed her fate. In a chilling account, Jean revealed that soon after Sister Cathy's death, Father Maskell had taken her to see the nun's body, warning her that the same could happen to her if she didn't stay silent. The revelation shocked and horrified the community, but it remained a single, unsupported account for years. In the years that followed, more survivors stepped forward, corroborating Jean's claims of abuse by Father Maskell. Despite the mounting accusations, justice was elusive. The Archdiocese of Baltimore denied knowledge of the abuse allegations during Father Maskell's tenure at Archbishop Keough, and attempts to bring him to trial were repeatedly frustrated by legal technicalities and insufficient evidence. The case took a national spotlight when Netflix released The Keepers, a documentary series that examined Sister Cathy's murder, the abuse claims, and the heartbreaking stories of the survivors. The series highlighted how institutions might shield their own, prioritizing reputation over justice, and it revealed the depths of trauma that had been buried for decades. For many viewers, The Keepers raised the question of whether Sister Cathy's murder was, in fact, a deliberate act to silence a whistleblower. The idea that she had been willing to stand up for her students, knowing full well the risk it posed, resonated deeply with audiences. To her former students, Sister Cathy became a symbol of moral courage, someone who had tried to protect them even if it meant losing her life. Sister Cathy's murder remains officially unsolved, but her story and the courage of the survivors have left an indelible mark. Father Maskell died in 2001, taking any potential confessions to his grave. Though DNA evidence has been tested over the years, no conclusive link has been made to her murder. Yet, Sister Cathy's legacy lives on in the voices of those who continue to seek justice, demanding answers for the trauma that has reverberated through generations. For the people who knew her, Sister Cathy's life and death are reminders of both the resilience of the human spirit and the destructive power of corruption. Her tragic end is a haunting testament to the darkness that can exist even within places meant for solace and trust. The silence surrounding Sister Cathy's death has finally been broken, thanks to those who were once her students. Though justice remains elusive, her story reminds us all that the truth cannot remain buried forever. Her courage echoes, inspiring others to speak up, to question, and to demand justice, no matter how long it takes.